that can lead to overall less distribution of the content by those people and by those pages. And it can lead to other actions such as demonetization, the prohibition on placing ads, and so forth, right? So there are a number of kind of increasing scale of penalties that can be applied if you're a repeat purveyor of misinformation on our platforms. I think we have an example. If the next slide, please. Right. So here's just one example of a fact check on our platform. This was a fact check of a claim that a blogger made that the Philippines had used water cannons against the Chinese Coast Guard. This was false. This was rated false by our fact checkers. And you can see on the left, this is the actual fact check. And on the right, this is how the content would now appear on our platform with a screen over it, right, and a warning along with the label that explains that this is false content, right. And again, this would also be content that is reduced in distribution, and so even getting to that content would be much less likely on the part of any user using our platforms. I think the last thing I would just like to say is on the topic of misinformation is, you know, there can also be misinformation networks that are doing this with intentionality. You know, we put out a threat report, I believe, every quarter, where we go through globally the types of actions we've taken against networks. Right, I mentioned a number of actions we've taken recently against scam networks and transnational criminal networks in 2024. That was included in one of our threat reports. But it's public information. You can go online and access this information. And you know, we have taken down a number of networks over the years in Philippines for many different reasons, not just because of their misinformation. We've seen scam networks. We've seen we have seen misinformation, disinformation networks. Those are all publicly reported in our threat report. And again, we have done this in collaboration with local law enforcement, so that when we're made aware of, and our investigators internally can confirm that there are misinformation networks that are operating on our platforms, we will take those down. And Mr. Chairman, I've gone on for quite some time explaining our content moderation policies and the basics of our misinformation policies. I think Rob has added to that with some color around the very close collaboration that we have with law enforcement in the Philippines. I know there's a lot of questions that you and the committee want to answer, and I'm very happy to take those now with a lot of gratitude. And I want to emphasize this point, a lot of gratitude we have to you and the committee for giving us the space to be here to talk to you and the Filipino people about these very important issues. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Rafael. We will now proceed to the interpellation with regards to the Meta issue. The first to interpellate will be Honorable Franz Castro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I also thank the Meta for coming here after 3 notices. Thank you. I have some specific personal question about how the Meta is detecting community standards violation, or what you call violation of community standards. When you look at when you look at your platform, we have here several. When you report like a content, you will find here several violations like scam, fraud or impersonation, unauthorized political ad, adult content, selling or promoting restricted items, violence, hate or exploitation, bullying or unwanted content, intellectual property, suicide or self-harm, false information, problem involving 18-year-old or someone under 18 years old. Well, I was a victim of your platform, where my official Facebook account were taken down by your platform due to it said there impersonation. So I cannot understand why do you take down an account due to impersonation. So how does it happen? So how will you determine that really is this account is impersonated? Because this account was reported to COMELEC as my official election account for for my daily activities during election.
Thank you, Madam Congressman. Mr. Chair, if I may. Madam Congresswoman, thank you for your question. Certainly impersonation is a violation of our community standards. And there, I can say that I don't know the specifics of your case, but let me talk about a little bit about how we try to deal with issues of impersonation, right? First of all, there can be a number of different reasons that an account might be taken down, right? There can be repeated violations of our community standards, or there can be very severe violations of our community standards. But other times, it can be because someone was able to, unfortunately, gain access to your account. Not your account, but anyone's account, right? It can happen that unauthorized access can take place, right? In those cases, they may, once a hacker has gained access to an account, then, sometimes what we see is they go and delete the account, or then they take over that account to use it for their own purposes. And what we do in those cases is we work with the rightful account holder to retake control of their account, right? So we ask for credentials. It could be a government ID. It could be various email addresses or other identifying information that were used with that account in order to regain control of it. I think one thing we've seen and that we know is an extremely effective guard against having accounts taken over by hackers is two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication is really the first line of defense that any user on Facebook, including members of Congress, have against their accounts being taken over. If you have two-factor authentication on, anytime someone would seek to make changes to your account, it would ping you to make sure that you're the right person and you're authorizing those changes. I would urge everyone to make sure they have two-fact turned on their account. I think it's also worth noting that, for government officials, for politicians who are engaged in an election cycle, we have specific channels where we can work together. We have our Meta Support Pro channel that you can access and that we're happy to work with you to make sure you have access to, so that if you have specific issues with your account, other members of Congress, other people running for election can access those channels. I think it's also worth noting, and I didn't really mention this in my opening comments, but I think I should, that that there are a number of different statutory agencies that have specific channels with Meta where they can report community standards violations, account hacks, and any other issues that the government is experiencing with Meta's platforms and our services. In fact, there are 11 different government agencies that have direct channels to us. And so those are other channels that can certainly be utilized in cases where members of Congress experience those types of actions. And I would just also say, it does also happen from time to time that we make mistakes. That is also something that happens, and we're sorry for when that happens. We know it's a really poor experience. We don't want that to happen. We take those instances very seriously. We do everything we can to try to minimize them. And so that's also just something that can happen sometimes.
So when my account was took down, we complained to we write to the Meta about